All right, folks, we're going to try some flipped learning today. I'm going to give you the basic modeling of our lesson on this video. And then you have a problem set. The first set of worksheets you get will not be your homework. It's some time to practice in class. I'll be giving you some answers from the problem set and modeling. Your choices would be, if you're struggling to make sense of the work, is you could ask the visiting teacher if they could help you with the math. You could rewatch the video, or you can ask a classmate a question about math. You can't use it as social time, though. Our work needs to be focused around this math so that we understand it and we can get through this. Let's get started. What we see here is that Jenny buys 2 pounds of pecans. Well, good for Jenny. Let's see what she does with them. And it says, if Jenny puts 2 pounds in each bag, how many bags can she make? Well, if I think about this in terms of division, I am starting out with 2 pounds of pecans. And I am dividing it into bags that are worth 2 pounds. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay? If I think about this, this is my whole. My whole is worth 2. And that's 1 bag. That's my whole thing. Okay, so got over here my number sentence modeling, over here a tape diagram. I could even add a kind of number line and say, all right, if I'm doing jumps, my number line is going to start at 0 down here, and my first jump needs to be made at 2, and well, that's 1 jump on my number line, 1 bag. All right, let's say that she's only putting 1 pound in each bag. How many bags can she make? Well, my whole is the same. I'm still starting with 2 pounds of pecans. But this time I'm not putting them into groups of 2. I'm dividing up the pecans into groups that are 1 pound each. Well, what does that mean? Well, 2 divided by 1 is 2. This is making sense, okay? So here's my whole. My whole is worth 2. I'm dividing into groups that are a pound and a pound. Okay, now let's take for a minute, I know this is easy peasy math right now, but what I've got here is 2 divided by 2 is 1. When I took 2 and I divided by a smaller number, my quotient, or my answer, was greater. So if I think about this pattern as I look at the next question, if she puts a ½ pound in each bag, how many bags can she make? I'm still doing division. I'm still having 2 pounds of pecans. I am still dividing up the pecans between different bags. Only this time I'm actually dividing by a fraction. I'm dividing into bags that are a ½ pound each. Okay, well, what does that mean? My whole is still 2. And if I look up at my number model from before, be patient with me, guys. It's not easy to draw this on the computer. I had 2 groups of 1 pound each. So I still have those 2 groups of a pound, but now I need to split those further. This would be a ½ pound, and this would be a ½ pound, and this would be a ½ pound, and this would be a ½ pound. Then my answer is 4. Now this makes sense. If I have 2 wholes and I break it up, it's still going to be a ½ pound, okay? You can see by this model down here, which is much more nicely drawn than mine, they've taken our whole of 2, and divided into 4 equal pieces. This is a whole box, and then a half and a half, a half and a half, and then they show us on the number lines. If we think about making these jumps, okay, this is a bag. That bag has a ½ pound in it. This is a bag. That bag has a ½ pound in it. This is a bag. This bag has a ½ pound in it, and this is a bag. This bag has a ½ pound in it. 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves. I've got 4 bags. They each have a ½ of a pound in them. Then if I showed this using a number model, my number model would be 2 divided by 1/2 equals 4. Remember that you can always go back to this and look at it, but we're going to skip up to the next page and take a look at doing this in a different way. Okay, so Jenny's still got she's still got 2 pounds of pecans, but she's saying if I put a 1/3 pound in each bag, how many bags can she make? So remember, we're still going with Jenny still has 2 pounds of pecans. We are still dividing them up between the bags, only this time each bag is going to have a third. Okay, well, a third is smaller than a half. Remember, the more people you split with, the less you get. Look at our pattern. Dividing by 2, I get 1. Dividing by 1, I get 2. Dividing by half, I get 4. My answer here should be even bigger than 4 then, because my bags are all smaller. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this over and make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so my whole is 2. 2 is my whole. You can see that our line right here down the middle splits this into our 1 and our 1. You can see from here to here, this is worth £1, and from here to here, this is worth £1, and then this would be a third and a third and a third, a third and a third and a third. If I take these jumps that we're making, this is a third of a pound, that's 1 bag. 2/3 of a pound, another bag. Total, we've used 3/3, but each jump is worth a third, a third, a third, a third. We've made 6 thirds, which means 2 divided into thirds is 6 equal-sized pieces. Again, if we continue to look at that, if she puts a 4th pound is even less. My number sentence here would be 2, because she still has 2 pounds of pecans, divided into 4th pound bags. Okay, and I have this visual again for you, if this makes sense to you, which is the tape diagram as well as the number line. You can kind of see that there. You know, we've still got the 2 wholes, divided into a whole and a whole, divided into fourths. I'm going to give you another visual though. Okay, so I'm going to use that this is a pound and this is a pound. So I've got my 2 pounds, only this time they're circles as opposed to the fraction diagram, because I think we've done this before in some of our warm-ups. Okay, and if I split these up into fourths, you're going to bear with me, we're going to pretend that these are equal fourths. You can see that I've got 8 pieces, they're each worth a fourth, just like we have 8 over here. Just like if I made my jumps on my number line, I would have 8 equal jumps that are worth a 4th pound each. So my answer, my solution to this problem would be 8. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Tian wants to cut foot lengths from a board that is 5 feet long. How many boards can he cut? And this should say, that should be a fraction there. Let's actually peek at this fraction. Should cut 1/4 foot lengths. Again, my fractions aren't coming through. So you can see I've got 5 as the whole. Okay, that's 5 feet. I should say feet, not dollars. Okay, so many things wrong with this. Okay, so 5 feet and dividing into 4th segments. 4th, 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 4th. We're noticing we're at 2. 4th, 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 another whole foot, that's 3. 4th, 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 another whole 4th foot, that's 4. 4th, 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 another full foot, that's 5. 5 full feet. Broken up to jumps. When I do these jumps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's 20 jumps that are a 4th long in that. Okay. So hopefully these models, you can look back at them as much as you want to, and they'll get you familiar with the strategies you're going to be asked to practice both on your problem set and on your homework. This is the first example from your practice sheet, your problem set for class today, and they're showing our whole is 2. We can see that right here. Here is our whole. It's worth 2, and we're dividing it. We're splitting it up into groups that are a third big. We can see this here, that they've marked us with our whole. That's our halfway part. And then you can see that we've got a third, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 within that whole, and 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 within the second whole. Okay, 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, and so on. We can see that within this whole, there are 3/3 in one whole, and within 2 wholes, there are 6/3. 1, 2, 3 within the 1, 4, 5, 6 within the 2. The next part, and these are really 3 different problems, okay? So it's saying 4 divided into a half. So if we think about the work we've been doing, if I have 4 wholes. So my 4 wholes, and I split it into 4 equal parts. That's still not my answer. My answer then is going to be how many halves. So there's 2 halves inside this piece, there's 2 halves inside this piece, there's 2 halves inside this piece, and there's 2 halves inside this piece. Okay, if I think about those numbers, this was 1 whole. If I think about this like a number line, this is 0 and this is 1. This part would be 2. This part would be 3. And this part down here at the end would be 4. There's 4 wholes. So it's asking us to think about, in my first whole, how many halves are there? Well, there are 2 halves inside that first whole. And then as I continue, how many halves are there in 4 wholes? Okay, well, that's my 4 wholes piece. Well, that answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 halves and 4 wholes. And that says if 4 is half, what's the whole? Well, that's a different picture. It's saying this would be half, and that half's worth 4. And then this half is worth 4. And so 8 is the whole. And it's kind of drawing this connection here. Okay, 4 divided by 1/2 is 8. But if 4 is half, 8 halves is 4. This is my check. 8 times half equals 4. 4 divided by half equals 8. So I can kind of go back to that. Okay, for question B, it's saying 2 divided into 1/4, so my whole is worth 2. And I'm splitting it in here. This would be 1 and this would be 2. Obviously before my tape diagram starts, that's 0. But I'm not splitting it into 4 equal pieces, into 2 equal pieces. I'm splitting it into 4ths. So there needs to be 4 pieces inside each of my wholes. Each of those are 4ths. Each of these are 4ths. So you can see then it asks me to say there are blank 4ths in 1 whole. Well, this is 1 whole, and there are 4 4ths inside of 1 whole. If I continue on down to the next whole, so I count all 2 wholes, I can see that there are 8 4ths and 2 wholes, and that's my answer. 2 divided into 4ths is 8. You can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 2 wholes, there are 8 4ths. And that's saying if 2 is a 4th, what's the whole? Well, that's 8. This is my check. I can even draw another one if I want to think about this. If I have 4 equal pieces, and I have a 2 in each piece, right? It's kind of my turnaround. 2 is a 4th, and my whole thing is worth 1/8. You can continue to work on that. This is the next part. So 5 divided by 1/2. Okay, well, I could draw this out with a tape diagram. I could draw this out with a number line. I could even draw it out with circles if I want to. I'm going to model the circles again because I know a lot of people have solved our warm-up questions like that. Okay, so here's my 5 circles, and if I split them all in half, 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 halves, 8 halves, 9 halves, 10 halves, my answer is 10. Okay, and then if I take 10 times half, my answer is 5. Right? Over here, same thing. 3 divided by 1/2. Well, I've kind of got that right here. 3 divided by 1/2 is 6. Half of 6 is 3. Check with the sub. Watch the video again as a last resort or ask a question for clarification. I will be back tomorrow. You can ask me questions, and I will have access to my email today. So if you have something big, you can definitely email me that as well. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow when we head to the middle school.